If you've been scrolling through endless listings of floor burnishers, comparing RPM numbers, pad sizes, and price tags, and you still feel stuck on which machine actually lives up to the hype, this review is meant to clear that up. I've spent the last week testing a few mid-range models on everything from glossy hardwood in a condo hallway to the low-sheen vinyl in my dad's workshop, and the Powr Flite NM2000 Millennium edition kept showing up in the conversations I was having with other DIYers. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's talk about the core problem most buyers face. You need a machine that can give a uniform shine without turning the job into a full-time workout, yet you don't want to drop a small fortune on a commercial-grade unit you'll only use once a year. The NM2000 sits in that sweet spot of professional enough for a serious finish, but still approachable for a homeowner or a small business owner. At 2000 revolutions per minute, it's fast enough to warm up the pad and lift embedded grime, but it's not so aggressive that you risk burning through delicate sealants on older wood floors. The included 20-inch flexible pad driver does the heavy lifting in terms of pad-to-floor contact. The flexibility means the pad hugs the surface, reducing the little dead spots you sometimes see when a rigid driver skips over uneven patches. Who should actually consider this machine? If you're a homeowner who periodically refinishes a hardwood floor, a boutique coffee shop that wants to keep its polished concrete looking showroom ready, or a property manager responsible for a handful of rental units, the NM2000 gives you the kind of finish that usually only a higher-priced model can produce. It's also a good match for hobbyist car detailers who need a compact burnisher that won't dominate their garage. On the flip side, if you run a large commercial cleaning operation that services dozens of retail spaces a week, you'll probably want a larger, cord-free unit with a higher RPM ceiling and a larger pad diameter for speed. The NM2000's 49-inch height and 19-inch length make it a bit bulkier than the handheld starter models, so it's not the best pick for someone who needs to lug a burnisher up and down a flight of stairs every day. One of the practical strengths that isn't always highlighted in the spec sheet is the thumb-activated safety interlock. In real-world use, that little feature saved me more than once when the cord got snagged on a doorframe and the machine tried to keep running. You press the thumb switch, and the motor cuts off instantly, no need to hunt for a power button in the middle of a tight corner. That safety net is especially valuable in busy environments where kids or pets might wander close to the equipment. The full-surround, non-marking bumpers also proved to be more than a marketing line. During a test run in a narrow hallway, the bumpers absorbed the occasional brush against baseboards without leaving scuffs, which is something I've seen lacking on cheaper competitors. Now, let's be honest about the trade-offs. The power cord is long enough for most residential jobs, but it does tether you to a wall outlet, meaning you have to plan your route carefully in larger spaces. For a 20-foot room, you'll likely need an extension cord, and that introduces a small risk of tripping. The machine's weight is another factor. At roughly 30 pounds, it's manageable for 2 people, but a single user will feel the heft after a few minutes of continuous polishing. That isn't a flaw per se, the mass helps keep the unit stable at 2000 revolutions per minute, but it does shape how you approach the job. If you're looking for a truly lightweight, cordless option, you'll have to look elsewhere. Another point that matters is the pad itself. The NM2000 ships with a standard 20-inch pad, which is a solid all-rounder for most floor types. However, the pad isn't a specialty high-gloss or low-sheen pad. You'll need to purchase the appropriate polishing pad separately if you have a very specific finish in mind. That's not a hidden cost, but it's something to factor into your overall budget. On the upside, because the pad driver is flexible, you can swap in a variety of pads without worrying about uneven pressure, which is a small convenience that adds up over multiple projects. You might wonder about durability. Powr Flite advertises that each machine is assembled and tested by skilled American workers. While I can't speak to long-term wear without months of use, the fact that the unit comes fully tested out of the factory gives a baseline confidence that the motor and electrical components meet a certain quality threshold. The bumpers are made of a soft, non-marking material that resists cracking, and the housing feels solid enough to survive a couple of accidental bumps without denting. If you're someone who tends to be a bit rough on tools, this level of build quality is worth the slight premium over ultra-cheap models that feel like they could fall apart after a single slip. To sum up, the